I didn't argue with him. That was the part that seemed to unsettle him the most. "You've ruined our lives," my father said, not loudly, just firmly, like he was stating a fact he'd been holding on to for years. "You're a burden." I remember noticing the way his hand rested on the table, steady. My mother didn't interrupt. She didn't look at me either. There was a version of me not long ago who would have started listing things. Rent transfers, utility payments, the time I covered the hospital deposit without telling anyone. All the small, quiet ways I had been useful. But standing there, I realized something uncomfortable. None of that had ever changed how they saw me, so I didn't defend myself. I didn't correct him. I didn't remind him of anything. I just smiled faintly, like I had heard something that finally made sense, and I left no door slamming, no last words. Just my keys, my phone, and the feeling that I had already overstayed somewhere I was never really welcome. My mother's message came a few hours later. "Don't come back." It wasn't emotional. No anger, no explanation. Just a clean sentence, like a locked door. I read it twice. Not because I didn't understand it, but because I was waiting to feel something dramatic. Anger, maybe, or sadness sharp enough to react to. But it didn't come, so I typed back, "Okay." That was all. I didn't block them. I didn't delete anything. I just stopped suddenly. Not in a way that would feel like retaliation. I just stopped paying. The first few days passed quietly, too quietly. I stayed in a small rented room across the city, one I had arranged months ago but never used. It felt temporary, like I was waiting to be called back, even though I knew I wouldn't be. I checked my phone more than I should have. Nothing, it made me question things. Maybe I had overestimated my role. Maybe the money I sent every month wasn't as essential as I thought. That idea sat with me for a while, until the calls started. They didn't come from my parents at first, unwell numbers. Formal voices. "Sir, we're calling regarding an overdue payment." I let them finish. Not because I needed the information, but because I needed to hear it said out loud. Overdue, missed pending words that had never been part of my life before, at least not in relation to them. By the end of the week, I could map it out in my head. The electricity bill, the internet, the rent, partially mine, unofficially but consistently paid. A loan installment I had agreed to help with a year ago that had quietly become my responsibility. I hadn't realized how much of their stability had been routed through me. My father called on the 8th day. I watched his name on the screen for a few seconds before answering. "You stopped the payments," he said. Not a question. Yes, a pause. There was something different in his tone now. Not softer, just less certain. "We have bills due." I didn't respond immediately. I wasn't trying to make a point. I just didn't know what kind of conversation this was supposed to be. Finally, I said, "I know." Another pause. Longer this time. "You can't just—" He stopped himself, restarted. "Things don't work like that." I almost asked him what he meant, but I already understood. Things had always worked exactly like this, just in one direction. "I've moved out," I said instead. Silence again. I could hear something in the background, papers shifting maybe, or just him trying to find footing in a conversation he hadn't prepared for. "You should have said something," he said. I thought about that, all the times I had, all the ways it had never landed. "I think I did," I said quietly. He didn't argue with that. He didn't agree either. The call ended without resolution. No shouting, no apology, just unfinished. My mother messaged later that night. "Why didn't you tell us you were struggling?" I read it a few times. Struggling. It was an interesting word. It implied something shared, something visible. I typed a response, erased it, typed again. Then I put the phone down. There wasn't a version of that conversation that would suddenly make everything balanced. Over the next few weeks, the contact continued, but it had changed shape. Short calls, direct questions. "When can you send something? Can you at least cover this one bill?" No mention of what had been said that night. No acknowledgement of the message she had sent me. It wasn't cruel. It was practical. And that was the part that settled something in me. I started answering less, not out of anger, just because there wasn't much left to say. I found a rhythm in my new place. It was quieter, not peaceful in a dramatic way, just consistent. I paid my own rent, my own bills. I kept track of things in a way I hadn't needed to before, because I had always been tracking theirs. There was a strange kind of space in that, not freedom exactly. More like the absence of a weight I hadn't realized I was carrying. One afternoon, I got a message from a number I didn't recognize. It was their landlord. He kept it professional. "There are delays in payment. If unresolved, we will have to proceed formally." I read it, then locked my phone. That was the moment it became completely clear, not emotionally. Structurally, there were systems in place now, deadlines, consequences that didn't care about family dynamics or personal narratives. Authority had entered the situation and it didn't negotiate. My father called again that evening. This time, there was no accusation in his voice, just urgency. We need to figure something out. I stood by the window, looking at a street I was still getting used to. We already did, I said. He didn't respond right away. I didn't expect him to. We haven't resolved anything. Not really. They still reach out sometimes. Less often now. The tone is careful but not reflective. I don't think they fully understand what changed, and maybe I don't need them to. I don't feel victorious. There's no satisfaction in any of it, just a quiet, steady awareness. I wasn't a burden, I was a solution, and now I'm just not there anymore. The difference between those two things feels small when you say it out loud, but it changes everything.